everybody. Welcome to StripJourney. We are having episode 31 today. And I'm actually very excited to bring my next guest because I also want to talk more about how do we train? How do we prepare for training? How do we do what's best for our bodies? And I think there is nobody better than our next guest to talk to us about this. And we're going to France, finally. And I want to say bonsoir, Paris. Bienvenue, Pauline.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're well. And I'm super happy to be here with you. And I'm super happy to see you again.
Great. Can you quickly introduce yourself?
My name is Pauline. I'm French. I'm from Paris, France. And I am a frame-up dancer as a CEO of a training center also in Paris and also a disabled dancer.
We will dig into that in a second, but I want to hear, how did you start dancing?
Actually, I dance since a really, really young age. I fall into it by also like by mistake almost, because I was not at all talented in dance or stuff like that, and I was more like a fighting kind of spirit and playing with mud kind of child. And one day I saw a couple dance, like ballroom dancing, and I went into that. And I have really dedicated myself to that. And at one moment, it stopped completely because I got diagnosed with a genetic disease called EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And it stopped completely my career because doctors told me that I will never be able to dance in good conditions again. So I had to stop everything.
Wow. How old you when you were diagnosed?
I was 26, I think. So it's a little bit more than like 13 years ago, like almost. So, but I knew like my career was already going down at that moment, like dancing wise, because the symptoms was pretty heavy on my health and also mental health because, and I think that's the thing with a lot of women and women dancers. We got diagnosed of disease and really late. We have like it's a lot of wanderings to find what you have because you are not really considered by the health industry. Also because we tend to dismiss also ourselves a lot of symptoms to be sure that we are not seen as weak. And I think that's also what happened to me and why I met, like, it took so much time for me to discover what I had.
Can you explain for people who don't know what is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome?
It's a connective tissue disorder that imply it can be multiple symptoms that depend of people. For me, it's a lot of dislocation, like so joint hypermobility. It's a hypermobility spectrum disorder. And for me, it's like a lot of dislocation in fingers, wrists, shoulders, knees, a lot of sprained ankles. Also, like vascular on the vascular side, I bruise really easily and heavily. There is also a lot of dizziness when I'm standing, what also brought me also to floor work because at some moment I can't really dance standing. So that's how I switched into floor work at one moment. And even now I know how to manage those symptoms. I stuck to floor work because I like that and I love this style, but that's also what brought me to floor work at some moment.
And you said you stopped when you were diagnosed. So how did you come back?
Actually, like when they got me diagnosed, I had like that moment where I was like a little bit like in denial. And I was like, okay, what I can do to go back on dancing and what's the plan? You know, I was waiting for them to say, okay, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. No, you have that. This is what you have to take. This is the prescription for the wheelchair and buy. There is nothing after that. So this is a kind of a relief because you know what you have, but this is also the kind of a big moment of depression because you have not like nobody come with a solution or even like telling you that there is a possibility or hope or something different. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try everything under the moon to see if I can dance again. If it's because I didn't want to regret anything at the end of my life. So I say, okay, you know what? I'm going to try everything. And I have begun to learn about pain, about chronic pain, about hypnosis. I passed a diploma in London, actually, of CBH, cognitive behavioral hypnotherapy, to manage pain with hypnotherapy and also anxiety and all the trauma also of a diagnostic like that. And after I went into yoga, Pilates. I have been trained heavily in yoga by some really big yoga teacher like Dylan Werner. And I have begun to travel like that because there was no studio or places where I was like fully accepted and where they knew about what I had and how to manage. And so I had to be my own trainer. And to be your own trainer, you have to train. And that's how I have begun to search, meet people, pass certification, and traveling around in UK, Bali, US at some moment. Like I was, and also going a lot online to find the people and the resources that I needed to be able to do it. And I became like an expert. And that's when I have begun to like write and spread the awareness around that. And at some moment, I wanted to try dancing again. But dancing is like, it's also in an industry that's not really inclusive. And I was not really able to dance for a long time, and especially standing. So I had to find my own way. And that's why I also, and at that moment, I discovered floor work. And Elena, my first frame up teacher, I've been grateful
Hi,
enough to.
Elena.
Yes, she's amazing. I know she's gonna look at that episode for sure. And she has been grateful enough to teach online, and this is such like a chance for me because it changed a lot of things. And yeah, that's how it began.
It's so amazing that you didn't just take the diagnosis, that you went to study and to understand and to learn more and to find something that works for you. But you also applied all this knowledge to something else as well. You opened your own studio.
Yeah, I think opening my own studio is like a part of like living with that kind of disability make you really aware of the discrimination, the non-inclusivity of dance industry, but also in like reathletization, and also what happened to dancer when they are injured or when they begin to grow old and stuff. And I didn't want for people to face what I faced at one moment. And so I decided to create a place where you have that holistic approach of training, not only, and also a place where you can do a little bit of everything. Because I think that's what I was lacking the most, a place where I can train in strength training, because that's a really big part of training dancers, and like technical classes, but also like choreo classes, Pilates, yoga, breath training, mobility training, acrobatic training, everything around, and so you can pick and choose according to at what place you are in your evolution, but also in your health, because that's also like something that women need to face. It's like you can't train the same way during your cycle and you need to adapt. So even if you are not injured, you have also to consider your body in another way. And that's what I do with the field. And I'm really happy. Is that still a big challenge because it's still really, really new. But I'm happy to be able to at least try another solution and propose something different for people and for dancers.
It's great. So how's it going to feel? Are you a lot of people coming to classes and
Right now is like it's really the beginning. Like it's open since just 2 years, and it's become to be a really a baby community. Maybe we are like between 150 200 dancers around.
That's good. That's quite good. That's, I mean, given how hard it is to spread also dance style, new approaches, that actually sounds amazing. I'm glad to hear
Yeah,
that.
like it's also like a lot about also dancer who faced also discrimination in different kind of way, and so that want to share their knowledge in a different approach. So I try also to gather the teacher who are in that kind of approach. It's a long work, it's a long road, and it's a lot of work. Like I was talking with Rhonda earlier because she's in Paris right now, and she said every time she wake up, I'm going at work and I go really late at night, and that's what I do every day. So it's a lot of work. But I'm really happy also to be able like to propose something, a change.
It brings a lot of value that you're also so vocal about your experience because you also post on Instagram, you have your studio.
I think also it's a part of, I don't want someone, a young woman, to face being different in an industry like dance, which is not inclusive, let's be honest about that, and stop dancing because she tries that there is no other way. And I think being vocal about it have been really hard because when you're vocal about something like that, there is not just happy moments. You have to face a lot of critics and bad comments and everything. The young woman I was would have needed that to have like some direction, or just to know that another way was possible, and the hope that you can find your place, you can create your place. And be a dancer is not about just performing like others, but also to express, to have something to say. And if you like what you do, and if you like dance, there is a way. You just have to find your own, and that's what I wanted to. That's why I'm so vocal about my disability.
Again, we all want to see that example that will help us be inspired and move forward. And you're definitely that example. I wanted to ask you, you said you found yourself in floor work. Can you talk more a bit? You said you started training with Elena, but then you did more stuff. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, basically, I started with Elena online from my living room. That was really funny because we talked about it like just a few weeks ago. And she said, when you started, she said, I remember the first time I taught you a fish flop. I was so afraid. I can tell you now that I was freaking out that you could injure and stuff. And she was so calm when she taught me, yeah, you're gonna do that. Do you have pillows and blankets and stuff? So I remember that. And I began really like that, like once a week, and we went really, really slow. She taught me like choreo and techniques, and we talked a lot also about the culture and stuff. And there is no class in Paris. And in Europe, it's not like a style that is really like mainstream right now. It's beginning to spread a bit, but it's really difficult to find classes and resources, especially if you don't speak Russian. Like right now, I'm like learning Russian for to have access to more like information and resources, but it's kind of difficult. And she said, oh, look, there is these people. That's actually Elena who sent me to acro style camp and acro style school and stuff. I went to acro style camp actually last year, met Rhonda, met Yana, and it was like one thing coming with another. I really also connected with Rhonda. She came like in Paris in the field teaching for 3 months. And she stayed in Paris. After I go back to a coastal camp in few weeks. And we plan also to have like to create our own camp for something like this summer with Rhonda about beginners and tricks for beginners. So it's actually like so like that's the news. Like right now we are like working on that and created also some syllabus for that camp. And you see one thing coming to another, connected with people with the same mindset about biomechanics, preparing dancer, and actually that passion for training people who thought they couldn't do anything. And I think that's also what connects me to people like Elena, like Rhonda. It's like that joy of taking people who have been told that they are not a fit or talented enough or good enough for dance, and make them realize that they can be dancers.
That's super inspiring. I'm always happy to hear also about events happening in Europe and being planned in Europe, especially for beginners, because we can only spread if we teach also the basics and everything. It sounds like you went for it and you found like-minded people, and that gave you even more fuel to continue what you were doing.
Actually, what's really funny is like I started to do floor work because I had not the possibility to like really dance long time in heels or like standing, and I didn't find really like the flow, the attitude, because I was like so concerned about and so tired all the time. And so I went to floor work, and I realized that right now, because I have strength so much and I can manage now my symptoms, I could dance standing now. Like I can dance heels, I can dance hip hop, and I like that. But I love floor work. I love frame up, and that's why also I'm like really dedicating my time to that now. I came to it as a temporary solution, and I stayed there.
But I love also the acro because this is, you touch on the important topic, and I talked with Randa about that before. It's about how do you explain things to beginners and how basically some simple things are simple. Some things that are explained well, everybody can do.
Yeah.
And this is kind of also the key because you start with like, oh, I love acro in floor work, but I'm a disabled dancer, and this just kind of proves that
Yeah,
it is the way
exactly.
of learning.
It's like if someone like me with so much instability in shoulders and can do shoulder stand, and I love to do shoulder stand, I can actually talk. And it's like we was laughing about that with Rana because that's for me, shoulder stand is my meditation. I'm like really like in peace. The blood go down to my my brain, and when I'm too much stressed, I need to do a shoulder stand. And so, like, what is cool also is to be able to show to people, listen, that's not about your limitation, your body, your like what the world tell you you can't do. It's like you have to find your way to make it work for you. We can't say that it's if you want you can, because sometimes you can't, but you can find a way around. You can find your own way to express. It's like at one moment, like I couldn't stand and dance standing, so I went to floor work, and I find the other way to move. And I think that the beauty also of limitation is open a door about what's your style, what if you want to say something with your body and to express stuff, you will find a way. I think dance is not about dancing like everyone else in the room. It's about to express and not to impress people. Rhonda, me, we have that in common. We are really into teaching beginners. We love make beginners realize how much they can do, you know?
And tell me about this teaching experience and also the different approach you bring. How is it going? How do students react?
It's a lot of like mind work also. It's like a lot of yeah, you can, like when you teach something that is kind of new, especially like in France, heels is really popular, and this is not the same style, so there is a different culture, different approach. And especially when you begin to do acrobatics, people who come to me generally come also with limitation, or they are overweight, or they have like this idea that I can't do things, or I'm not good enough for that industry. And so they come also with questions about how to navigate in that industry. I feel that my goal and what I can bring to people is not just about dancing, because I'm not the best dancer, but I'm really good technically in biomechanics. And also, I have that psychological approach about how you can find your way and how you can stand tall, even when people try to reject you and tell you you have no place there. And you know that you saw me in like live. So I think the biggest challenge in teaching, and especially something new in a place that is not really existing, is also to open a door in the mind of people that they can do that.
To me, it's also really interesting, as you mentioned, I have the same approach of like, I'm not the best dancer, but I know some stuff. And also, I think just by the fact that you've learned something with a different body type, a different age and everything, that also gives you some understanding that when you learn stuff as a kid, you learn it differently than when you learn as a grown up. When you switch this on for every time you do something. This is also a problem because it brings fear as well, but it does help a lot. I was wondering, how is it going with, you mentioned also frame up as dancing as choreos. How is it going how is that spreading in Paris?
To be honest, not so fast, because I think like I'm the only one teaching frame up. I think there is like other maybe one or two girls teaching strip plastic. But like really, if we compare like heels and floor work, and especially because a lot of now teachers of like heels teacher teach a kind of floor work that is not frame up strip, it's going like people who come to my class and ask more and more classes. That means that now I have 3 classes per week, like one technical, one choreo class, and one acrobatics. To be honest, it's like I feel really, really alone. Like, thanks God I'm traveling. And I'm like going to, and also I have people like Rhonda and Yana also came to the studio last year to teach at the field. And yeah, like I feel a little bit the desert when you see the map of, even the map on StripJourney, you see there is like a blank page there. So yes.
But it gets that. I mean, talking to everybody else, there is this 1 or 2 years that it takes for things to start sticking, and hopefully it will as well. We talked about dancing, we talked about teaching, but you also did a competition. How was
Yes.
that experience?
Oh my God. It was a beautiful experience, to be honest. And especially because this is an event that we feel that they are used to organize that. And you can feel that the organization is really on point. That's really good to have. And I think that's contribute to spread this style too, is to have like event like really well organized. So Republic Czech have that, and that's really, really cool. I know also Frame Up UK that organize really well, and that's really contribute to spread that this style and also to bring the community together. And the competition was the same because it's the same organization. It was really good. To be honest, I didn't want to do the competition. Rhonda forced me. Like, and she didn't force me, she tricked me into that. I was doing the mentorship with her, and the end project was to do a choreo. And when I started the mentorship, I said, choreo, because I wanted to see more about her foundation approach of teaching tricks. So I went into the mentorship, and when she told me the end project will be each one of us had to create a choreo and to present it and to make a recording and do a live session and stuff, I was like, but Rhonda, I'm not a good choreographer. I'm not even a good dancer. And she said, okay, we need to work on imposter syndrome, and then you're gonna have to create this choreo. So I created BAD, the choreo I presented in competition. And it went really well at the end and at the presentation. People was really happy about and giving me a lot of praise and stuff. And after that, just after, I say, okay, now tell me the truth. Tell me the feedback that nobody want to give, and tell me what I can improve. And actually I asked her, I say, if I was in competition, what would be the feedback? And she said, from what competition do you think about? And I say, stage 18. And she said, oh, you know what? You should like send your video, because I think when they refuse like a competitor, they send a feedback. And so I did, and they took me in. Eh, and I was, oh my God, what I'm doing there. So I went to the competition. It went great. I didn't finish last. I was really happy about that. I think I was 11th or something. And also, I think that as a dancer and as a teacher, also, I think that it was the biggest challenge, because people don't know that, but I have a lot of anxiety, stage performance anxiety. And I was like so scared. And also, I have received so much messages from dancers, from disabled people, from my students, saying how much it was important, what it was representing for them to see someone like me standing, going forward, someone braving the fear, the doubt, the insecurity to go on stage and go like further, because she liked to dance.
Yeah, I agree. As another, different dancer, for me that was amazing. I'm too big of a chicken to do it, so I thought like, this girl, this is so awesome. So I think this is, yeah, it's the things that push us out of our comfort zone are the ones that kind of, you look back and you're like, yes, it was worth it. Because let's face it, preparing for anything like that is so much time and effort. And I don't know how, I mean, your body must have been so beat up also.
What was kind of funny is like my body gets injured like in that kind of process a lot. For example, I came to this competition with a broken foot. And I guess that's, so I was like, okay, we do it anyway. We go there. Like the mantra of the field is like, not without fighting. It's like, not without fighting. We go, we fight, we stand like strong. And, it's like, there is no defeat. Even if you are the last one, or even if you don't get a certification, or you go somewhere and you don't succeed, you are defeated and stuff. It's a milestone. It's still a process. And yeah, you still go learn about yourself. And I think like the people who succeed are the people who like are not quitting, like like they keep on going. And I think that's my strength. It's like this girl is none, like she's never giving up. So that's also something that my doctors now say a lot about me. I think that's a beautiful thing about that.
Yeah. Can you tell me, when you do things like this competition, what is your recovery after that?
It depends, because when you have a studio, you have other projects going on, like you have to fit everything. So you go back on quickly. That's also why at the field there is a recovery also aspect. So there is like a machine to measure your posture, to measure if you have like the right range of motion, or you push, like you have the same strength on the cervicals or stuff. So you can assess quickly when there is a problem. You have also sauna infrared, red light therapy. When I was in London a few weeks ago, like between the classes, like when we had the morning, I was going to red light therapy, infrared sauna, magnesium salt. So it's just considering that actually recovery is a part of the training. And when I do this kind of competition, I try also to be mindful to keep the recovery in the process of training. I use also a lot of visualization to not put too much strain on my body. And I do also a lot of conditioning, Pilates, yoga, breathing. And so when I go back from those events, it's less hard to recover. It's just like you have phases where there is some moment I dance less, like choreos and stuff, and more technical aspect. Technical aspect is less intense for my body. So after competition, or like big event when you was working a lot, I can go back and work more on technical, like movement patterns, conditioning, and stuff like that.
It's super interesting. And yeah, you mentioned we went to London recently to an event where Nastia Yurasova came to London. So when I went there, for me, my mindset was, can I survive basically training like a Russian dancer for 3 days in a row? So what was kind of your mantra with going for that experience?
Again, I was like pushed to do it by Elena and Rhonda. And to be honest, I knew also that they would not push me to do it if I was not able to do it. That I will learn a lot of things. But yes, the level of pushing your body to the limit, and especially because when you don't know the teacher, you don't know also what their approach on inclusivity and accepting different type of needs, for people like me. So I didn't know what to expect. And it was, to be honest, really hard on my body. I remember like what it's like to train in a room full of dancers that are unaware about different needs, like, and disabled and different bodies and stuff. So it was really, really hard, but also an experience where I realized how much I can grow from those events. It's just like you need to not have so much expectation for yourself, and also to remind you why you dance so much every time. I do this because of that, because of I love doing this. And you need to remind yourself that, because or you're gonna put so much pressure on yourself that you're gonna break. And I think that also was that process of going there for that. And also like what also helped me is like I did already acro style camp, and I'm used to like also work with Viana, and so we do 3 hours, 5 hours per day for 8 days in a row, and it's never stopping. So so I know already what kind of intensity I would have. Yes.
And for my next question, you already said you're going out to Acrostel camp, you're planning something in the summer. What other plans do you have? What is Pauline going to do next?
Oh my God, this is a single. Ask Rhonda and Elena. What's the plan for me now? To be honest, I want to create more chorus because, as I said, like a few months ago, I didn't thought myself so much like a dancer. And I begin to realize that as I have a voice, I can also express stuff with my dancing, even if my style is different. I didn't even saw that I had a style before a few weeks, months ago. And that's actually the people who say, I love that in your dancing, and I love that when you do this and stuff, that I've helped me to recognize what was my signature, what was my style. And so that's really also funny to discover that. Exploring more choreos, more events when I can train with different kind of dancers. I'm gonna try also to train more on techniques and try to be also in the next months a better dancer, and also like to spread awareness and teach in a way that it's like aligned with my values, and also bring maybe a different approach to teaching for beginners.
Yeah, that's a lot of plans. You mentioned your style, what people like about your style. Do you have any like elements of your own style that you
I
recognized?
I think now it's power, like intensity, emotion, like power, and like that kind of hip hop flow, but also sexy, bouncing kind of effect, and that, you know, like really like queen mode, but badass energy, and but power. I
Mm-hmm.
realize that because like I need that to push me and to go like and to maintain the energy for like 2 minutes. For example, for the competitions, that's what the hardest point for me. It's like, can I hold 2 minutes? Can I do that? You know? And the only way I have to do it is like either slow and controlled or power. And
Mm-hmm.
so my style is a combination of both. So, and I realize also like power come also from rage. It, you know, like I have that I know that everything can stop, like
Mm.
now, like it could be the last time you do that on the dance floor. And I have that like emergency, but also that gratefulness for that moment of I'm doing this, and I'm so grateful to have the chance of doing that now. And I have so much to say that I'm gonna almost yell it, you know. And so I think that's what also gave me the power when I'm dancing.
I love this. I can relate to this so much. You mentioned teaching beginners, new ways of teaching beginners. What kind of advice would you give to people interested in learning this style who are just starting out, who came to their first floorwork class?
Be compassionate about yourself. This is a new kind of vocabulary that you are seeing, and no matter what kind of yes, when you have like dance backgrounds, like it's easier, but it's like learning a new language. It's you begin to speak Spanish or Russian or whatever. You need to have words and the grammar, and at the beginning you can't go into a new country and say, oh, I can't do it, or I have like 2 words and I can't have a conversation. That's normal, and you consider that like normal. So why you don't say that in dance with a style that is completely new for you? And I think I remind my students a lot about that every classes. Be patient with yourself. Consistency, persistency will be the game changer. And you need to realize that, especially for example, floor work is not a movement pattern that is normal for human being. We don't wait the bus in shoulder stand. Like you're on your feet normally, you're not on your shoulder, you're not like on your hands like that, you know, like with your shoulder retracted like that. You don't move like that in the street. Like, thanks God, you know, like, but it's gonna be painful. It's like learning pole dance. I have the same, like in the studio, there is a lot of beginner in pole dancing, and they are like, it hurts everywhere. Yeah, because you are not used to move around a pole between your thighs. Like that's normal. That's like a completely new. So I would say like learn the vocabulary. Don't try to do so much choreo straight away. Go into technical classes. Go to different teachers, a different approach. You have to remember that frame up is like a fusion style, so you have a lot of, and and so like explore stuff and have fun doing it.
I have a bunch of questions I usually ask people for every episode, but I'm gonna put a bit of a spin, especially my first question. So normally I ask people, what do you prefer, boots or sandals? And I guess I'll ask you what works better for you.
Ah, boots. Boots works better. like because like ankle stability. I have much more stability in boots, and it became my style also because like it's kind of that badass effects that I like. Black boots really are my thing. I begin to go a little bit more in sandals because I love the feminine style, and also that you can work with the ankle a little bit more. It gives you more freedom, but I feel like my body prefer boots.
Yeah, makes sense. Do you have a frame up icon or inspiration?
I would say Baina, which was funny because that was one of the judges at the competition, and I was really stressed about that.
Ah.
I know she have an online program, and that's on my bucket list for the next month. And I remind a choreo of her, like she was dancing on a bench, and I was like, it was opening also a window for me about oh my god, this is not just floor, this is actually every, like the air also was doing a whole choreography. I was like, it was so clever, so well thought, so creative, and so outside the box. It was really inspiring, and I think that was also out of what she actually normally proposed, and it's also have been her aha moment for me of actually you can actually not be always the same way. You can try different things, you can experiment, and that's what I love about her. That's non-limit a kind of spirit she have when she creates something.
Yeah, and I think Baina also embodies this very different dancer
Yeah.
thing as well.
So I'm like, I look up to her a lot.
Do you have a favorite like choreo you have learned or a project you have joined? And it doesn't need to be frame up, it can be other dance.
In frame up, I would say my favorite choreo is Placala from Elena. Actually, what's funny about this choreo is I came to Elena because of that choreo. I send her this video and I say, one day I want to be able to do that. And I knew that the choreo was like there. And just few weeks of working together, she said, oh, let's learn this one. And I was struggling so much. This is such a hard choreo. There is so much tricks in it. And what we did is like, we learned that. It was terrible. And 1 year after, I came back to that choreo. I said to Elena, I want to redo Placala. And like now it's like a kind of totem. We go back a lot to it, like almost like every year, to see how much I have improved. What was not easy and now it's easy. So it's like kind of my totem choreo now.
Do you have your own favorite choreo?
I think Bad is my favorite choreo because there is like a lot of meaning there. That's the choreo I presented at stage at 18, and that's also the one of the mentorship. And what happened is because I was scared to present a choreo by myself at the beginning, I wanted to do a duo with a dancer, like a Parisian dancer. He told me that he didn't want to dance with me because I was not good enough, like kind of. And so I was in the mentorship talking about this story, and I have begun to be like, okay, I was watching music and I found Bad, which is like a lot about this balance energy. We say, I will never like trust it, like that fighting energy mode. And so I have begun to freestyle on it. And we showed the group, and one of the girls say, yeah, give them the girls they fear. And that's why I tried to do with that choreo, to give like the opportunity to release that power. And I think that my power as a signature style and moves that now people see in me came from that moment of I needed to yell something and say that actually I am a dancer and I'm gonna show it to you. And I think that's a turning point also for me, a moment where I needed to stand and to say, yeah, you have a place here. I'm maybe not the best dancer in the room, and I'm worth being seen and respected, and I have things to say with my dancing, and I will make no apologies about that. So I see score mean a lot, especially. And a lot of people actually ask me for this score when I teach workshop and stuff.
My favorite question. Describe frame up in one word.
Subversive. I would say because for me, in my head, frame up is about breaking the rules movement, about stereotypes of style. It's about fusion. It's about breaking the limits. And also that's why I think as a disabled dancer, I went to that style because at least from outside, the vision you have of frame up is like it's unlimited. Some people then standing on the on that of platform. You have cruise and you can have hip hop and it's contemporary and you have tricks, no tricks, and that's that moment you have like all the doors are open and you are free. And I talk a lot about Elena with Elena, Randa, Yana, also because I ask a lot Yana, for example, about dancing in crew with guys and why like they dance this kind of style or this kind of move and stuff. And I realize that it's a lot about breaking the stereotypes, saying something in a country, let's face it, that is not super inclusive also. And I think that's also why I felt like frame up style was my calling because it was subversive. It was a way of saying, hey, we don't always respect the rules and that's what we do. And we dance in platform on the floor, doing a lot of cool stuff. So yeah.
Now that you've been teaching, do you have a favorite moment you had as a teacher?
I think stage 18, like even if I was not teaching, it's like having all my school and not just my student as framer, but also because I teach mobility, I teach breath work and stuff. And it's also having all those people like rooting for me and sending message and sharing the news about, look, we can all do it. Like there is hope. I had like a message from a girl who also had Ehlers-Danlos syndrome who said, I just realized that it's possible. You just open a door. I think teaching is not just being in front of people and showing moves or showing choreo. It's about also like showing the way of, hey, if I can brave my social anxiety to do it, you can brave your social anxiety to put yourself in a class, you know? This have opened the door for so much people that I think that was, I think, my teaching moment also.
Do you have a fun fact about yourself that your students maybe do not know?
Now they understand, I think, that I have a lot of social anxiety. For example, when I know people, I'm really lovely, fun, and I like to laugh. But I have so much social anxiety. I'm so stressed. Even every time I go in a dance class, my dance class, you know, every time I'm like, you know, I put so much pressure on myself. And I think people are never aware about that. They think I'm like super confident, not at all. Like, so, and actually, if someone sees this podcast and see me after in a convention or an event, please come talk to me because I will never come talk to people. And often I stay really alone and stuff because I'm super scared of just going to say hi to people. I'm like super scared about that. So please, guys, if you one day see me and want to say hi, please come because I'm like super scared.
One thing I like to ask people at the end, do you have any messages for people listening?
Don't let anyone tell you you can't do something you love or you have not your place. And if you have not your place because the industry is like that or this community is like that, create your own. Never turn your back on something you really, really deeply love without fighting and just because someone says so. And also don't change to fit a place that tell you you don't belong there. Like be yourself. And this is really scary, but you will find people that will love, share, respect you, even if you are not like them. Like we are the proof of that we can have a lot of support being super different. And I think that's what I want. If I want something, if someone sees this podcast and can say, yeah, I love frame up, And I want to do that. And even if I'm not the youngest, the thinnest, the like perfect dancer, I have never danced ever. And I feel that it's too much for me, but I love to do that. Please don't let anyone tell you anything else.
Yeah,
And
exactly. Go do it.
yeah, go do it. And also remember that nobody can bring you down without your consent.
Mm. Yeah, go do it. Go make it your own and go make your own community, as you say. I cannot think of a better way to end this episode. It has been super inspiring, and I think so important to hear, also to put your experience out there and the learnings you had along the way. Because again, we all face fears and things, and you can be an able-bodied dancer, a disabled dancer, but you're a dancer, and
Mm.
nobody can take that away from you,
And I
right?
was saying to Rhonda the other day that actually every people is limited. Like I have a disability and so it's shown. And even like people can't see my disability right now. And what's super funny is when I dance, people say, this is crazy. But like some people have traumas, psychological traumas, or they have like injuries or accident. Everything can happen. And so I think also my way of like standing for the right of people who are different. And another way is also not just for disabled dancers, it's also for people who feel like they are not belonging anymore.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me.